Have you noticed it too? That strange moment when you walk into a restaurant, glance at the menu, and suddenly feel your stomach drop before you have even ordered. It's not just you. Something in the air has changed. The tables are still there, the lights are still warm, the same music plays softly in the background, but there's an invisible weight in the room now. People sit down, look around, open the menu, and hesitate. They're calculating. They're wondering if the pleasure of eating out is still worth the price that comes with it. Because slowly, quietly, people are starting to refuse. They're saying no to dining out. And the reason why goes far deeper than anyone expected. And stay until the end to understand what's really happening. Let me know in the comments how many times a week you go eat out. And let's start. For decades, eating out was an escape. It was the moment you rewarded yourself, the symbol of freedom. After a long week, the small luxury that told you life was good. You'd order something you couldn't make at home, sip a drink that made you feel relaxed, and enjoy being served without lifting a finger. But now that same experience feels heavy. The price of food, the endless add-ons, the digital screens flipping toward you, with tip suggestions that start at 20%, the mysterious extra charges that sneak onto your receipt. It's turned what was once a treat into something that feels like a trap. Look at what's happening everywhere. One person used to spend around $200 a month eating out. Now it's closer to $300. A family with kids, around $500. That's $6,000 a year, gone into meals that fade from memory within a week. And yet, despite the cost, the value has dropped. The portions are smaller, the service slower, the quality inconsistent. It's not just expensive anymore, it's disappointing. And that disappointment is spreading. People go home after dinner out and feel unsatisfied, not just from the food, but from the feeling that they've been played. Because dining out today isn't simply about the meal, it's about navigating a maze of small invisible tolls. There's the kitchen fee, the facility fee, the convenience charge, the healthcare fee. Then there's the digital tablet that flips around and stares at you, asking for a tip before the food has even left the kitchen. Every step in the process has been engineered to squeeze a little bit more from your wallet, and it's working. You see a price on the menu that feels okay, and by the time the bill hits the table, it's 20 or 30% higher. And yet, that's not even the full story. The real sting comes from what you don't see, from what you no longer feel. The sense of being cared for, the quiet pleasure of service done well, the experience that once justified the cost. It's fading. You wait longer, you get less, and you leave feeling like you paid too much for something that barely felt special. Slowly, people have begun to notice, and they're asking themselves the same question. Why am I still doing this? It's not just older people or families on a budget. Everyone feels it now. You see it on faces at tables, that quiet frustration when the bill arrives. People in their 20s, 30s, 40s. It doesn't matter. The reaction is the same. How did it get this high? The numbers on the receipt feel unreal. A casual dinner that used to cost $30 now costs $60. A breakfast out, once $8 or $9, now runs past $20. And if you dare to add a drink or two, it skyrockets. Drinks, that's the hidden killer. A soda that cost the restaurant $1.50 sells for $4. A $2 beer becomes $8. A $12 bottle of wine gets poured out by the glass for $10 a pour, meaning the first glass pays for the entire bottle and the rest is pure profit. You add one cocktail, then another, and without realising it, your bill has jumped 40% in a few sips. That's not indulgence, that's strategy. And people are starting to see through it. The truth is, restaurants rely on those markups. Food has thin margins, ingredients spoil, rent climbs, wages rise, but drinks are gold. They don't go bad. They don't require chefs or prep time. They just sit on a shelf waiting to multiply your bill. It's not evil, it's business. But the moment customers realise it, they begin to pull back. They start ordering water. They start asking themselves, why am I paying $10 for something that costs $1? Then there's delivery. The illusion of convenience that quietly drains wallets all across the country. But instead, if you want to fill your wallet, remember that I have a free Telegram community in the link below, where I explain to you how to build a successful YouTube channel, like this one, Back to Before. The delivery apps promise ease, speed, comfort. Tap a few buttons and food appears at your door. It feels efficient. But when you really look at the bill, it's a different story. A $15 meal turns into $25, $28, sometimes $30, after the delivery fee, the service fee, the packaging fee, the tip, and the tax. And for what? A meal that arrives lukewarm, fries that have gone soft, sauces that leaked in transit, and food that tastes like a faded version of what you imagined. People are waking up to the trick. That tiny hit of convenience is costing them hundreds every month. 2 or 3 deliveries a week at $25 each adds up to nearly $3,000 a year. That's $3,000 for food that's forgotten within hours. When people realise that, something inside them changes. They begin to hesitate before opening the app. They start checking the fridge instead. Because here's the twist no one expected. The decline of dining out isn't just about money. It's about disappointment. It's emotional. It's psychological. Eating out used to mean something. An experience. A joy. A memory. Now it feels transactional. The lights are dimmer. The food smaller. The service colder. The expectation heavier. And people are tired. When they stay home and cook, they feel control returning to their hands. They can season their food the way they like. They can eat on their own schedule. They can save $50 and still feel satisfied. Many discover something they hadn't felt in years. Pride. The simple satisfaction of making something good with their own hands. Couples are rediscovering it together, trying new recipes instead of wasting money on mediocre meals. Parents are teaching kids how to cook, realizing that dinner at home costs a fraction of what a restaurant meal does and tastes twice as good. Even single people are turning cooking into a quiet ritual, a pause in a world that constantly tries to sell them shortcuts. Of course, not every cuisine can be copied. There are dishes best left to the experts. The deep-fried perfection of a good Chinese restaurant, the char of a wood-fired pizza, the delicate balance of spices in authentic Thai food. Those are still worth going out for. But the rest? The simple meals, the everyday dinners, the overpriced sandwiches, they've lost their charm. It's not just inflation. It's not just cost. It's the realization that dining out, once a symbol of comfort and connection, has turned into a quiet drain of money, of meaning, of joy. And across cities and towns, people are responding not with anger, but with silence. They're staying home. They're cooking. They're saying no more. What's happening isn't a trend. It's a transformation. It's the beginning of a quiet revolt against a culture that made convenience more important than value. And as more people step away from the restaurant table, they're finding something far more satisfying than any menu could offer. The feeling that they're finally getting their lives and their money back. It starts quietly, almost invisibly. People begin saying no without making a big announcement about it. One week they skip the takeout, the next they choose to cook instead of going out. At first it's just about saving a little money, but soon it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a realization that maybe the entire dining out experience has changed, not just in cost, but in meaning. Because what used to feel like a small celebration now feels like an unnecessary transaction. And what used to taste like freedom now tastes a lot like waste. Everywhere, conversations are beginning to sound the same. Friends talk about how disappointing restaurants have become, how everything feels overpriced and underwhelming. They share stories of $20 sandwiches, watered-down drinks, slow service, and automatic tips that appear even when the experience was mediocre at best. People laugh about it, but it's a tired kind of laugh, the kind that hides frustration. Everyone knows it's gotten ridiculous, but no one really knows what to do except stop going. And so they are. Quietly, decisively, people are turning away. They're walking out of restaurants not just because of money, but because the feeling is gone. Eating out used to be a small joy, a shared experience that left you full in more ways than one. Now too often it ends with a glance at the bill and a sigh. You walk out thinking, I could have made that better at home. And for the first time, that thought doesn't feel like an exaggeration. It feels true. The irony is that while people are pulling away, they're not doing it out of anger. They're doing it out of clarity. The moment you realise that your $60 dinner could have been a $12 meal cooked in your own kitchen, and probably would have tasted better, something shifts in your brain. It's not deprivation anymore. It's empowerment. You're not giving something up. You're taking something back. You're reclaiming control over your money, your health, your time, and your satisfaction. People who once thought cooking was a chore are now discovering it's a kind of therapy. There's something grounding about chopping vegetables, stirring sauces, hearing that gentle sizzle in the pan. There's no bill, no pressure to tip, no line at the door, no rush. Just you, the food, and a sense that life can still be simple if you let it. And when you sit down to eat something you made yourself, it doesn't feel like saving. It feels like winning. But the deeper story isn't just about home cooking. It's about a collective awakening to how easily we were convinced that convenience was worth any price. For years, people accepted smaller portions, higher fees, and lower quality because they were told time was more valuable than money. But now they're realizing both are being wasted. You pay more, wait longer, enjoy less. You're supposed to feel like a customer, but you leave feeling like a target. Even the small things that once felt harmless are starting to look different. That $8 coffee, the fast casual lunch that used to be a quick treat, the delivery order placed out of boredom. All those little decisions are adding up to hundreds every month. And when people start adding up the numbers, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Every choice to eat out is a small leak in the dam, and the water has been running for years. But you have to cover that hole with something before the bucket empties completely. And that something could be YouTube, since it's on easy mode now. Now the leaks are being patched, slowly, deliberately. People are learning to say no to the small temptations that drain them. They're making lists before they shop. They're planning meals. They're rediscovering the power of routine. And in that process, something powerful is happening. They're not just saving money, they're building confidence. The simple act of cooking a meal, of choosing not to spend, becomes a quiet reminder that you still have control in a world that constantly tries to take it from you. Restaurants, of course, are feeling the shift. Many are struggling. Some are fighting back with loyalty programs, special offers, and creative marketing. Others are closing their doors for good. But this isn't a story of villains and victims. It's a story of balance returning to a system that lost its way. For too long, the restaurant industry relied on emotion, on that comforting illusion that eating out was always worth it, no matter the cost. But when prices climbed too high and value fell too low, that illusion shattered. The truth is, people still love restaurants. They love the smell of fresh bread, the sound of clinking glasses, the hum of conversation that fills a good dining room. But now, they reserve those moments for when they truly matter. They go out for special occasions, for unique flavours they can't create at home, for the kind of meals that feel like memories rather than routine. They've become selective, intentional. They're no longer customers by habit. They're customers by choice. And that shift changes everything. Because when people stop going out by default, restaurants will have to earn their attention again. They'll have to deliver real value. Better service, honest pricing, genuine hospitality. The automatic markups, the hidden fees, the endless tip prompts will no longer work because customers are paying attention now. The illusion has broken, and in its place something healthier might grow. But the transformation doesn't end at the restaurant door. It seeps into everything. Once you start questioning what your dinner is really worth, you start questioning what everything else is worth too. The streaming subscriptions you barely use, the products you buy without thinking, the conveniences that promise happiness but never deliver. It's all connected. Saying no to one overpriced meal becomes the first step toward a bigger kind of awareness. You begin to see how every dollar has a direction, and you start choosing where it goes. That's what makes this moment so powerful. People aren't just refusing to eat out. They're refusing to live on autopilot. They're refusing to keep trading money for fleeting comfort. They're refusing to believe that more convenience means more happiness. And in that refusal, there's a quiet kind of revolution happening. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady and growing. It's not about living without pleasure. It's about bringing meaning back to it. When you eat out less, the times you do become special again. The restaurant feels exciting, the meal feels worth savouring, the bill feels earned. It becomes an occasion instead of a routine. And that's what people are discovering now, that joy isn't found in frequency, it's found in value. Because every dollar you don't spend on disappointment is a dollar that can build something lasting. Maybe it's savings, maybe it's an investment, maybe it's just peace of mind, but it's yours. And the moment you start treating it that way, your entire perspective changes. You're no longer a passive spender drifting from one bill to the next. You're someone in control of your choices, your time, your future. So the next time you feel that familiar pull, the craving for convenience, the temptation to dine out just because you're tired, pause for a second. Ask yourself, is this really worth it? Is this meal going to satisfy me or just cost me? Because if the answer is no, you already know what to do. Stay in, cook something, save your money. Watch how quickly the regret disappears. The people who are refusing to eat out aren't being stingy or joyless. They're being awake. They've seen behind the curtain, and they've realised that true satisfaction doesn't come from overpriced plates or polite smiles. It comes from knowing you're no longer being drained by habits that give you nothing in return. This isn't the end of dining out. It's the rebirth of it. A new version where meals are earned, experiences are genuine, and every dollar spent carries meaning again. The tables will fill again, but this time with people who are there because they truly want to be, not because they felt they had to be. So if you've been feeling that hesitation when you open a menu, that little voice that whispers, "This isn't worth it anymore," listen to it. Because that voice isn't fear, it's wisdom. It's the same voice millions of people are hearing right now. The one that says enough is enough. The world may not have changed overnight, but your choices can. And maybe, just maybe, that's where real change begins. But if you want that all this doesn't matter to you, remember that you have to open your YouTube channel as soon as possible. Think about it. If you've made it this far in the video, it means what I'm explaining to you in my free Telegram community works, right? So join with the link below and let me know in the comments if you often go out to eat or not, subscribe to this channel, and see you soon. Just a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor. This video is for educational purposes only, and any results depend on your own decisions and actions.